my government name is John Jairo Castañeda, but in the streets they know me as DJ BJ.
So that's how we'll introduce you.
Can you elaborate that just so people get the wrong idea?
Well, I mean, obviously I did it as a double entendre. So DJ BJ, DJ Big John, and DJ BJ, DJ Blowjob.
So
like,
are you getting a lot of blowjobs or are you giving them?
it's a requirement to have a blowjob mid-session.
Oh man.
Whether it's to give or to receive, that's my prerogative. You know, I'm very progressive.
Is that why the DJs like they don't really move too much? They kind of like stay in the same spot.
What do you think the table's so high? You know, like
Yeah.
the decks.
They just. That's terrible. Oh shoot! But hey, man, welcome to the podcast. We're
thanks.
really glad to have you on. We heard that you are a man of many talents. Aside from DJing, you have an interesting line of work that we're going to talk about in a little bit. And we're excited because I not only are you on the podcast, you're a listener of the podcast, and you got some stuff from hearing us that you'd like to touch on. So be a little review session for our listeners and a nice little back and forth with you. So I'm really excited about that. Thank you.
And before I forget as well, Big John, DJ BJ, as known in the dark alleys of the Miami streets, he is also a great friend of my childhood. And one of the things that I wanted to also touch on was on the topic of capitalism versus socialism and sort of, you know, the gray areas on it, because I always feel that I have great conversations with John about those things. And it never gets, you know, even though we don't agree on many points, we're able to like get to I wouldn't say an agreement, but we're able to meet halfway, sort of, you know, and because that's at the end of the day, again, people that are listening might be like, yo, this kid again talking about this shit. But the only way for this shit to get better is for actual talk to go down. And if we don't, like you mentioned the other day, John, you know, shit could even go into like a civil war or some shit. So we're gonna touch on all of those topics and, you know, and make up our minds on it, or try to do it. But let's start a little bit with your actual, you know, day-to-day job, what pays the bills. I understand you're an airplane technician, and given that now with the virus situation we don't really have much travel, you know, let's start with that and then we'll go into the technicalities of actual situations. But how is that working at the moment? I would assume that there's very little flights, so there's not that much demand for technicians. Does that affect the whole chain of command down the line?
Right. So, I mean, there is some demand in different parts of the U.S. However, it has gotten really bad to the point where I actually got laid off last week as a result of not having, you know, any engines coming in for us to work on. There's no demand. Even if we had engines to work on, they would just be sitting there because nobody's flying. So it's hitting us hard, definitely. The aviation industry is going to take probably about 2 years to recover. Back when 9/11 happened, that the whole terrorist attack, for the first year and a half to 2 years, people weren't really flying at full capacity out of fear of, you know, falling out of the sky or getting into a crash or getting hijacked. So and I think that the coronavirus is actually worse than that, because it's like the silent terrorist where you don't know like who has it, or if it's in the air, or where it is. It's always around you, so you don't know. It's gonna take a while. A lot of regulations, a lot of mandatory, you know, masks and different things that need to be implemented for the people start to feeling safe again to get on the flights. But yeah.
Now, John, you that know definitely more than us, or at least me. I don't know if Steven has gone to like a secret monk airplane association and became a master at this and didn't tell me.
I play Wii Resorts and I like do the little airplane. That's as much simulator as I get. So
aircraft simulator
or Star Fox. Star Fox. That's all I know.
I play a lot of Call of Duty, so I kind of know what the fuck I'm talking about. And Star Fox 1 and 2 really put me on the map. But coming from us that we don't know shit about this, and you that know a lot more than us, talking about the virus and how it could spread, do you really think that if you're on a flight from Miami to Madrid, right, a 10-hour flight, in a fucking metal box, all of us together next to each other, because I don't even think they're doing the one seat over type shit, like everybody's just back in the, back in the school bus, then do you really think having masks and following, well, there's nothing else to follow, you could only have to put a mask and that's it, there's nothing else that you could do you really think that is effective in helping it not transmit, even if you're 10 hours or everybody breathing the same air, like, or do you think it's on a plane it's just too hard to
All right, so in order for us to understand whether or not it's transmissible or you're safe or not safe, let's first understand how the air system works inside of an airplane. You about anywhere between 10 to 50% of the internal air is recirculated into the cabin. However, once it actually gets recirculated, it goes through a HEPA filter where 99.97% of particles get absorbed. The other 50 to 90% of the air comes from the outside, from the engine, where it has like a bypass valve where some of the air flows into the engine and then into the cabin. So,
Nice.
as far as getting it from the air, from inside the plane, it's very unlikely. You're more likely to get it from the person next to you. The whole not being 6 feet apart, if they're sneezing, if they're coughing, all that stuff. So I would say yes, you should wear a mask while on the plane, just because of the fact that you don't know next to you if they have it or not, and if they're breathing it, if whatever, whatnot.
That's a
okay,
good point.
but it does make it so that you're more at risk than if you were just sitting with this person next to you at a park, for example.
Right, because
I mean there is some air being recirculated.
At the end of the day, it is a confined space. So sometimes the air might even just sit there. It might not even go anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Depending on how close you are to the vents.
So it's not an ideal situation.
It's not. But if it's something like a medical emergency where you have to go, then do it. But if you're doing it for travel for touristing, get on a boat. I don't know,
row your ass to wherever you gotta go.
I'm trying to bring
like
boats
a
back.
2-week boat trip to from Miami to Madrid.
Well, dude, let me tell you a funny ass
That's
story.
just 1 week there, 1 week back. I mean, it's not even really a trip.
No, when I was in Venezuela,
you only got a week of vacation.
Yeah. Plus self quarantine.
Damn.
Dude, I actually planned when I was trying to come to Madrid, Spain, and like 5-6 years ago in Venezuela. I was broke, bro, and I was like finding like, okay, what's the cheapest way I can get there? Airplane tickets were costing like $1,000 and shit, and I literally searched. I'm like, wait up, man. Back in the day, people were like, like the Titanic. They would do these boat trips from like England to New York. Like, there's gotta be commercial, boats that like that,
like a commercial boat that takes it to.
Yeah, dude. Like, I actually thought that like that could have existed. I'm like, let's give it a try, because I was like, if an airplane costs $1,000, maybe one of these boat things I can get it for $200, get there in a week, and live the sailor life.
Like a water bus.
Yeah, dude. I was straight up thinking like, I started searching like, okay, how can I like boats commercial from South America to like Europe, like in my mind I thought we were still in the fucking Christopher Columbus days where I could like fucking Leo DiCaprio in Titanic, where I could just get a boat from Venezuela and to Madrid. So apparently I was not able to find it unless it was like a cruise,
right?
It costed a lot more than the plane,
definitely.
But I thought maybe I could get one of those chips that actually chips things, but sometimes they just have a little space and you pay them a little extra. You're like, come through. This is the type of shit that I'm thinking to try to escape communism in Venezuela. This is the type of shit I'm like, how much do I have to row to Spain? Like, is it like the Cubans when they get in a little boat and then they, or is it like? But that's the type of shit that I was thinking. But
next time try putting yourself in like a little shipping container and have them shipped into.
Yeah, they go by weight, so it should be enough.
Damn.
to set off the scale.
Now, one interesting thing I wanted to ask, John, especially you being a technician with planes, from what I understand, one thing that planes should also always be doing is working, and that actually maintains the planes. I mean, along with the actual maintenance that needs to be done. But that a sitting plane is not a good plane. You want to have that baby rolling all the time, and apparently that keeps it good. Am I right in saying that?
As far as that's concerned, I don't want to necessarily opinionate something that I don't know. But I do have an understanding that with it sitting, the bearings, the internal workings of it, the oil collects down on the bottom due to gravity. So sometimes those bearings don't have the oil, the lubrication, and it's just sitting there for a bit, and it'll dry up. So maybe on startup it'll be kind of like rough because of the fact that it's dried from the oil. But then once you get it circulating, it'll start going to where it has to be. But yeah, it'll be a rough start. It's like the same thing with the car engine. It'll be a rough start if you leave it sitting there for 6 months to a year without function.
Right. Yeah.
No,
I think,
the reason why I asked
lubrication.
is because, like in the same sense, right? Like a vehicle. If you know how like a friend is leaving and they need for a month, and it's like, hey dude, can you turn my car on like every week? Just and keep it running for a bit. Like that's, you've heard of that, and I've heard that with like planes. I mean, not to give it to a friend so you can turn it on, but that if you keep them running, like that's how they should be. And then now you have so many planes sitting, I would assume that this can, I mean, this is also an added cost to getting these planes running again once the shit is, is running, right?
To a certain extent, it'll be better for me, but in a bad way, because then more planes will have to come back to get serviced before they go out. But
okay, so
but it's not a good thing.
I mean, it'll give you job, it'll give you more jobs, but obviously there is a cost to it,
right?
Well, along with the drop in flights. When I'm in a plane, I always think like, okay, what is the shit like that could go wrong easier, right? And I'm always thinking like an engine can blow up or some shit. But I've always heard that at the end, as long as the plane, like you would think that with the engine fucked, like the plane's gonna die. But no, if it has another engine, it can glide and it can actually, get to safety. Like sometimes I think that the plane is so unsafe, but actually it's very safe. What are those features that you think make the plane super safe and almost, not being able to be taken down?
So before I actually started doing aviation and stuff, I was under the impression, kind of like in cartoons, where like if all the engines stop and the plane just immediately drops. No, like if the engines are going, right, let's say they suddenly stop, the plane is still going at 200 something miles an hour, so it'll steadily glide. I think it actually has about 30 minutes of airtime if you can maneuver it properly. But the power steering, or the thing to steer, is going to be super hard because it's not functioning. The power steering line isn't working, so it's going to be super hard to maneuver. But you can still technically glide it for 30 minutes if it's in the right position. Because like if you're going down and then the engine shut off, there's no way you're pulling that back up like that.
Yeah.
It just
I wonder.
Depends.
No, I was just gonna say, I wonder if like pilots go through like they just got to do like their daily rows just in case some shit goes down. They gotta fucking pull the fucking plane back up. I don't know. I look at some of the pilots. I don't think they're doing their daily rows, to be honest.
Yeah, no. The other day I saw a blind pilot get on a flight.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, hey, Elon Musk, autopilot. What's up? Dude, I mean, isn't it crazy now that this time that we're in is just changing the world? I mean, I'm so sorry that you lost your job. I mean, you're a skilled person. I'm sure you're gonna find another one.
Yeah.
You can always just keep on, maybe even like internet DJing. You can still get the DJs under the table, and you're just on online. So I mean, that might be something cool. I see it on TikTok all the time where they like mix 4 banger songs, and it's like, oh shoot, and then I actually follow them. So I don't know. We could talk offline about that if you want.
Sounds good.
Kiko buys a Hawaii phone or whatever, but doesn't like TikTok because they're Chinese. Huawei, whatever the fuck it is. It's not an Apple, so it doesn't matter to me.
I mean, I support Trump wanting to take TikTok away, but more for not for like a political reason. Just like, yeah, shut this fucking annoying kids up. But I mean, all that's gonna happen is all that's gonna happen is we're gonna switch from TikTok to the Instagram Reel. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah, the new reels. I don't even understand it, but it's just more shit that you can add up on top of it, apparently. So, I mean, now I'm 30 and I don't understand this shit, and I'm like, what is going on? This era, this time, the dirty 30s. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I don't know. What do you think, DJ?
Well, I mean, I agree that like there's some things that. I mean, you look at it like, am I already this old where I'm starting to complain about kids, and I'm only 30 or like 30. I'm 32 now. But yeah, like
there you go.
Interesting that you'd mentioned the Dirty 30. I was reading up on it since this is the 30th episode that we're working on.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, man. We're glad to have you on the 30th.
I appreciate it. It's a pleasure. I look at your podcast every time that it comes out, and it's very interesting. What you guys talk about. So
he means it sucks big. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, meaning that I don't like it.
No, I mean we go all wild and crazy sometimes on these episodes, so forgive us, but
it's okay.
We just want to talk about shit.
So I was looking into the Dirty 30, and I was like, where did that come about? I didn't know. And I looked up on Urban Dictionary, and it says that the Dirty 30 is the age at which a single woman without children realizes that their biological clock is ticking. As a consequence, they may lower their standards and increase their willingness to perform sexual acts as a matter of desperation in order to find a mate or sexual partner.
Mira. So, if you see a 30-year-old bachelorette party,
that's why I only go after 30-year-olds.
You're in the scene. You definitely see them. You snipe them out for sure.
I can picture John getting to the parties, right? Like crashing weddings or crashing birthdays when they turn 30. Hello, are you dirty 30? I'm here.
No, I stand at the door as a bouncer. It's like, oh, we're signing this little waiver. Can you please say your name and your age here? You just compile a list at the end, at the beginning of the party, and you already know.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense because
put them on MailChimp and send out newsletters.
You always you always hear about women at a certain age starting to get that clock, right? Like they need to procreate and stuff. And well, some women say it might be a social construct, and I think there's room for debate. We're actually gonna have our next guest is a woman, and I want to ask a lot of these things to her because I want people to also see that we want to get the opinions. If you're talking about women matters, you want to also touch on that. But in any case, what I'm trying to yeah, John.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I want the thought to be dropped.
Go ahead and finish, and then I'll say what I have to say.
No, you say it. I forgot.
Okay, so no, sorry about that. Then, basically, yeah, even though I'm pulling this definition from Urban Dictionary, it's basically led by men. Like men are creating that definition. So realistically, there's no age where a certain time that a girl has to have kids. I mean, some girls don't want to have kids. Some people don't want to have kids, and it's not something that's gonna make them any less of a person just because they have kids or not.
No, of course.
No, agreed.
But it's like you said, a social construct that you're perceived as, oh, you can't have children after a certain age.
Yeah.
I mean,
biologically, it gets tougher, but there's never an age that you can or cannot have kids. There's been 65-year-olds that have kids.
Yeah, but that's not ideal. I mean,
it's not ideal.
I don't want to get caught up on this, but it does matter. Like I'm super grateful that we live in a society where a woman can be like, hey, I don't want to have kids. I'm just gonna work and do my thing. That's cool, man. I want people to make those decisions and be free to make those decisions. But there is a biological clock in some way because there is an ideal age where you have sort of the best, everything is set up in place for you to have a kid, right? Like before 35, apparently that's where the body is at its best. That's, you can succeed in life at 60, but I think that between 30 and 40 is like the perfect time where you have the amount of energy, but also the amount of knowledge in life to go towards something. So there are ideal times for things, but I do understand what you're saying. Now, from moving on from that point, it definitely sounds like something that men will invent, like back in the day, right? Like some girls like, oh, she wants to marry me, man, and he's just like, oh my God, she has the dirty 30s, I could definitely.
I've never heard anybody say that, but
Never.
No, but this seems to be like something from the past, made by some piece of shit men, right?
The past 10 years, I've never heard that before. Like when
I know the dirty
Like in the
30s I know the dirty 30s to be, actually the first time I heard it was like now, and I guess it's because like, I don't know, like we're just scumbags, and we're I thought of it like that. I had no idea that
scumbags?
This was
People that are 30.
Yeah, like, oh, the dirty 30s. Like, I mean, like I couldn't even understand it because I don't find my 30s to be dirty. But I mean, if you're a scumbag, then that would be
but I'm saying like you heard it being referred to as a time of your life, the dirty 30s.
The dirty 30s, yeah. The terrible twos, the whatever 20s. I don't know.
I mean, it's more like the finding out you have body aches and you're not gonna succeed as much. 30.
Yeah. I think it was like just a rhyming. Like what's the what's the phrase where it's like
rhymes with 30?
Yeah, it's like
one of the best rhymes. This is not a sponsored, and I'm pretty sure they could sue us if they hear us. But there's a pizzeria called Hungry Howie's in South Florida, and they make this greasy fucking pizza, but for a little fatty like me, I fucking love them. And they have an offer on Wednesdays, and it's called Wacky Wednesday, and I just always loved that.
Wacky Wednesday.
Dude, I remember getting out of like high school, even with Steven and like a friend of us, Cisco, and we would go to like Hungry Howie's, right? And he's like, hey guys, after the traditional stuff, Irish on iced tea and the mini Dutch, and then we'll be going over there, and then he's like, hey, you guys know what day it is? It's Wacky Wednesday. And that's the dirty 30s. That this is what you get, guys. This is all there is to it.
This is your peak. This is it.
This is the peak of your unemployed. Bad posture, back pain. That's what we got.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's what I was thinking. Like, you're 30, and look at the back pains that everybody has. Imagine when you're 50, and how much more is gonna get, how much worse is gonna get, and then now imagine having a kid on top of that at 50. It's not ideal, like you said. There's a time for everything. There's a biological and social time for everything.
I give props to the people who are 50. Like when I look at my mom, like I wake up some mornings, I'm like, man, I'm useless right now. Like I can't. And then it's like, oh my God, like you hear what your parents have said, like, oh my God, my back hurts or whatever, this and that. And you're like, damn, like how's it? You know what I mean? If I'm like this now, what is it gonna be later? Like,
exactly.
Were you in better shape than I am now? Am I like deteriorating faster? Like these are the thoughts running through my head, and I'm like, oh geez, like we gotta step it up, because I mean, I think about the grandmothers that last to like a 98, God 99. Damn. Like what? They don't make them like that no more, dude. They don't make them like that, bro. We're all made of aluminum, fucking bones and shit.
I can't imagine 90 with back pain. Oof.
Right? I mean, dude, at that point, I want to be like, I want to be Sub-Zero. Just fucking floating through space, through like whatever earthly, less gravitational, the better.
Or like a Futurama, like Richard Nixon, just ahead.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
There's no back pain because you got no back.
Or like Wally, like everybody's just like on these fucking.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
Yeah. We're all fat slobs.
I agree. We all like to be comfortable.
Hey, bro. I mean, shit.
Well, that there is like talks of this a real solution in the next 10 to 20 years, where we're gonna have regenerative ways so that we could age a lot less fast and maybe even last to like 150 years. Is that something that you guys would be interested in? This way live also another dirty 30s when you're 130.
130. Yeah.
I mean, damn. So, okay, so look at the socioeconomic issues that we're having now with having seniors live off of Social Security for X amount of years. So imagine now a senior citizen that, what's that word?
Boomer.
Retired? No, sorry.
Retired.
Retired at the age of 67 and lives until 150, and the government has to pay them a stipend every week or every 2 weeks. That it's not gonna like.
Yeah, but you wouldn't retire at 60. I mean, what the fuck? You gotta keep working until you're 140, dog. I mean, you're gonna have energy. You're gonna be an old guy, but you're gonna be wise. You're gonna be like Yoda. Would you do it, or do you think 80, 90 years of life is enough? What the fuck am I?
That brings another problem. The birth rate versus death rate. So now less people are dying. They're taking longer to die, and you're still increasing the birth rate. The population is still increasing to the point where we're running out of resources to be able to take care of all these 150-year-olds plus all the new people that are coming in plus everybody in between.
I think we're gonna need to find another planet. Straight up.
Yeah.
Okay, so you think? Oh, sorry, Steve, go.
No. I mean, I just think I personally think that we shouldn't. It's a nice thought, right? Like,
right.
What I thought when you were saying that was, oh shoot, like when I'm 80, I can get a little injection and I'm back, like I'm on my shit, right? And I will feel good, but I'm still okay with passing at, let's say, 90, feeling good. But you know what I mean? So like maybe what they could do is they could do the like the planned obsoleteness that they do with technology products, right? Like, it's no good after this. Like, okay, I'm gonna inject you with this. It's gonna be fucking amazing. You're gonna have the best last 10 years of your life. You're gonna drop dead very quickly. Okay, like I'll take it. I'll take that.
Whoa. Would they do that to electronics?
Well, yeah. Like, how many iPhone 4s right now are still in being able to be used? None, because they're planned obsolete. Well, maybe not 4, but after 2 years, things start
iPhone 1. Let's go with iPhone 1.
Yeah, I mean, anything.
Okay,
anything
but what you're
these
saying
days
is
after
like
2 years. This iPad was like from 2017. This iPad is, right, and honestly, it's not working like it used to. It doesn't work. I mean, and I keep it lean. I do the whole updates, everything, but the new ones are running way quicker, and it's not that the new ones are quicker than the ones before, which they are a little bit. But what I'm saying is that like this one is deteriorating. It was only good for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, but maybe part of that is on purpose, right?
That's what I'm saying.
But not only that, that was the best technology at that time. Now we have better technology. The apps require more processing power, more storage, more ability to function, more RAM. So as the products get more sophisticated, the applications get more sophisticated. That's why you have mobile games that look very good quality, or like the Xbox running at a certain look at Xbox One versus Xbox original.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah,
look at the graphics. Look at the.
I still think Apple's trying to fuck you guys over.
Yeah, but would you take the last 10 years of your life, jumping and skipping, or would you just draw out your life to 150, work till 135?
Yeah, well, but you guys, I mean, when I say 150, it doesn't mean that at 90 you're gonna live 60 more years in a fucking wheelchair. I'm talking about 150, and then you gotta scale it. So you're not gonna be old until you're like 120 type shit. So you're gonna have 120 years, but you're gonna be like on the move, chilling. I mean, you gotta.
But that's based off like so. Okay, so let's say they don't discover that until you're 90, right? And they inject you with that thing at 90.
The technology is already there. It's been going for more than 50 years, and in about 20 years, it's expected to.
I was thinking about this too, BJ, because like when you're 90, you can't like just regenerate so quickly. You have to.
I mean, of course, there's gonna be some people caught up
from like 60.
No, but there's gonna be some people caught in the middle that aren't gonna be able. You feel me? Like there's gonna be a cutoff. Like, hey, dog, my bad. No, 70 over you.
My bad. Sorry. You didn't make the
110
cut.
for you. That's it.
No, sorry, no, you came too late in the patch.
And then there's
So
also the outliers where, like, let's say there's 100, like, 1 out of 100,000 chance that you actually just burst, like because you know how the regenerative process creates cells. So imagine, like, you just fucking multiply uncontrollably and you just blow up.
Or you grow like a third arm or a
that's
fourth
actually
eye
cancer.
or some shit like.
That's cancer.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, but like cancer starts
Oh.
out as a cell that regenerates
Yeah.
uncontrollably.
Well, you know what's this is actually, and I know here I'm talking. I always talk shit that is not even fucking certified, but this is actually for real. Like the way that the aging is a disease, right?
Hmm.
And the disease, people don't talk about it, but it is. Aging, aging is a disease, and when you start aging, this disease is fucking your body up. Now, the reason why it fucks your body up is because it's actually protecting you from cancer. So we could live forever if we let ourselves keep reproducing themselves, right? And then that would allow us to always recreate the cells that died, and we could always have a body, right? The problem with that is the body cannot take it because then it starts mutating and it starts creating cancer. So actually, death is the cause of your body always protecting you from these cells wanting to multiply more throughout your whole life until there comes a point where, like, hey dude, we don't even have enough tissue left and we're just gonna die so that this motherfucker doesn't keep mutating and we cannot hold him off anymore. Isn't that like insane? Like that's what it is. Like
Yeah.
even our life is like us fighting a bacteria until a, or like a evil force that is not really evil because it's also what made this whole shit happen, the multiplication of cells. But you get it's like your body tries to
No.
level it.
Right.
Yeah.
Think about a factory where it has like a conveyor line where things are just constantly being mass produced. So in the beginning, it's a really effective machine. It's really good at reproducing the same little part or the same little cell or the same little whatever mitochondria or whatever you need. But as time progresses, that machine that's doing this starts wearing down. So you sometimes you'll get like a defective part. So what happens? The body identifies that as a defective part and discards it. It programs it for cell death, and so on and so forth. The more time that you're doing this, the more you start getting defective parts. So that's kind of like how the body kills itself, because it's like, oh, you're just constantly this machine is constantly producing defective parts. That's it. You're done.
Yeah. And what if you let me kind of pivot a little bit. What if you were to be this old, right? And have to go through all this stuff, and with all of this like breakout in the world and like this conflict, potential. I mean, it's not in the news currently, but like we've always been worried about other countries coming in and taking over and doing this whole thing. Like when you're that old, like I guess you have a little bit more time to prep, right? I guess you could start doing, I don't know, like some kind of doomsday type of shit. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, you have to kind of see that the way that things are going is not good anywhere.
Yeah.
I feel like we kind of live in a bubble in a sense, like, because every single country outside of the U.S. has some sort of like turmoil where there's explosions, there's bombs, there's things being destroyed,
Right.
and you're like, whoa, what's going on? Like,
And
when
you're
is
old enough
it-
to see it coming, right? So like
wh-
I don't know.
When is it gonna be our turn? Because like eventually, I feel like it's gonna backlash to us at some point in time. So
What do you do? What would you do to like if this was upon you in your generation, your time to
Oh
to
man,
do this?
like honestly, like I've always been a big believer in doomsday prepping. I have in
Oh,
in
yeah?
my closet a bag for 3 days. It's like a bug out bag where I just pick it up and ride. If something happens, you just gotta go.
Oh, shoot.
But I mean, here in Florida, the biggest thing that we got is hurricanes.
Mhm.
Sometimes tornadoes based off of the hurricane, the how strong it is, but we don't necessarily have earthquakes or any other natural disaster of that kind.
What goes in the
Crime.
bag, dude? I've always wondered. What's in the bug out bag?
Oh, okay. So you get like a first aid kit, enough for 3 days if you're out there. Antibiotics, like a bandage wrap, like a stent just in case you break something. So like minor cuts, abrasions. And like if you get bit by a snake, a venom kit, or something like
Oh
that. Food,
shit! You're
dry,
going out into the wild.
yeah,
The-
like realistically, like if you don't have a place to go underground or away from society, because that's another thing. Like, what could be the reason why we go into this doomsday scenario? Could it be that that we run out of money? Could it be that the government collapses or some shit? Could we have a civil war? Like a civil war between the people that for and against Black Lives Matter, because that's a very sticky situation subject nowadays.
yes, sir.
I feel like this whole like Donald Trump president could set up a very bad scenario. Like, what if he doesn't get voted in? Like, what if he loses? And a lot of people are very divisive about whether they support or they're against him. And I feel like the people that are for him are gonna rise up. It's being like they're gonna think that, oh, they cheated him out of the election, even if he actually lost. But because more people think that they're gonna vote him in as opposed to Joe Biden.
But I mean, not to go too political, but wouldn't that be the same that people were saying about like Obama? I mean, like when it was Obama era, people like it was, yeah, people. Oh, this is not my president. This and that, whatever. And I mean, those same people. I'm calling out the same group of people,
Hmm.
but they didn't. They didn't do. Do you think that Trump has instilled some kind of like fighting spirit more so than what they usually are? Like you really think that, or because the way I'm looking at it too is like a lot of what's in the media, like for instance the whole Antifa thing, right?
Hmm.
Like what we see 24/7 is happening 5% of the time,
Right.
10% of the time.
Right.
Like it's just shown and shown and shown.
Mhm.
I mean, Seattle's a different or I don't know if it's Seattle, but that crazy town.
Yeah,
in-
Seattle. Yeah, Seattle.
yeah.
Portland, Oregon.
Portland.
Uh-huh.
Like that's another situation entirely. But I'm just wondering if you really think because of the selection essentially is doomsday prep worthy kind of thing.
Interesting. Seeing as though like I'm gonna refer to one of your episodes where you guys talk about having a president that speaks better, but kind of like does shit behind your back, or does everything up front, but is really bad at talking, or is very like vulgar. Let's say, to say a word. Um, that's where in the case of Obama, like you were saying that, why didn't it happen with Obama? He was more on the side of, even though maybe I don't know what he did behind the back, but he was more calming. Like, he was a more calming presence up
No,
front as a
100%.
president, as opposed to Donald Trump. Um,
Yeah.
but like that's who he is, and I can't change him or do anything about it. But I feel like just his presence alone is what's riling people up.
Yeah, it's funny. I really thought that because these numbers kept going up and kept going up with the coronavirus and just kept going up, and Florida, you're doing nothing. You're doing nothing, DeSantis. You're a piece of shit. Isn't that? And then I'm like, oh my god, like shit's about to get down, like go seriously south. We're gonna start losing shit tons of people. But I know these numbers are still going up. But then you look at photos of people on the beach, and there are thousands of people on Miami Beach this Saturday, yesterday, or Friday. Like, it was just they flocked there, like as if, okay,
it's every
if we're all
day.
so worried about it, why is nobody worried about it when I'm looking at these photos, right? And then on top of that, I'm thinking, okay, well, there are obviously people who are getting sick. There's also people who are getting the virus and having these antibodies, right? And then
Right.
it's like, okay, like we can make a real big stink because we need to fix it, or this whole like hands-off approach is just doing its thing. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a medical person. I don't know what's right, what's wrong, but like nothing's changing, right? I mean, we
Right.
all came back. They're not going to shut down again. We're still doing stuff, and it's like the people who are affected are affected, and a lot of people are not. That's the truth.
Right. I feel like we've already made a big enough stink about it that we kind of like feel obligated to keep going with the stink, even if we feel the contrary, in the sense of like, maybe Maybe people should just get the antibodies and die. No, but even though I don't feel that way, but some people do, you know.
Yeah.
And realistically, it only affects people. Like it primarily affects people who are older or have health problems. Like that's one of the reasons why I had to stay home because I suffer from hypertension. So that was one of the conditions that required me to stay home for the ever since April. I haven't been working, and I've been home, and they've been paying me, which is beautiful. I appreciate my job for that, but and they didn't have to, but they did, and but at the same on the same token, then does that mean that every time that I have to go to a new job, do I have to report this? Are they going to be less likely to take me back because of this? You know, because now they're like, oh, you're high risk. If something were to happen, then we were responsible, quote unquote.
Yeah. I mean those rules might change. Right now they can't ask you those type of things, you know,
Right.
technically, but they can, but it like anything, they can profile you, right? Like you're a husky guy, I'm a husky guy, Kiko, like when we get into a room, like we're being judged.
Yeah.
I'm not, this goes across the board anywhere. That's why they say there's only a first time for a first impression. You get what I'm saying? Like, why is there even an impression to be made, right? It should just be like, you know what I mean? But the impression means that your judgment, you're right? I don't know.
Of course. No, I totally agree. Like, you should
know.
judge the person based off of their character.
But right, exactly. But what I'm saying is that there is judgment, right? Like
Right,
people
but-
are saying, "Oh, I'm not getting a job because I'm black. I'm not getting a job because of this." Well, yes, that might be actually happening. But what I'm saying is that everybody gets judged. You're sitting here saying, "I'm out of a job. I need to go get a job. I'm gonna go there, and they're gonna look at me and say, this guy eats far too many donuts,' and I'm gonna like, I don't mean to rag on you, but I'm just saying.
No,
like,
or they
I
might
mean, to
require
be
like
specific, Little Caesars and Crunchwrap Supreme. Like,
yeah, and wacky when
Tomato,
Wacky
tomato.
Wednesdays, Wacky Wednesdays.
Hey, but dude, then I didn't want to get political, John, but let's do this.
Eventually
Wouldn't
it'll
it
happen.
be-
Uh-huh.
Wouldn't it be solved, right? Like, if you had to take care of your own health and you had to pay your own health privately, and your job that wasn't their job or their responsibility, then wouldn't you think the workforce would be a more dynamic machine where, like, if you put less bum bros for me to hire you, like, I'll hire you. If I don't need you, then it should be easy for me to fire you too. But then that will make it so that you'll be able to get a job easy with anyone, even if you get fired. And then you cover your own expenses medically, and then that way your job wouldn't even. I mean, your job can still judge you if it thinks you're eating too much donuts, but not now based on the fact that it could cost them money because of it. So
Right.
don't you think there is it's like a good argument for a free market where you separate those things?
So I guess this is where we kind of like dive into the whole capitalism versus socialism scenario that we were initially going to talk about. I don't know. Like, I find it kind of messed up that a person that's working at a job getting paid $9 an hour has to decide whether or not to go see a doctor because their ankle hurts or have food on their table for their kids and shit. I don't know if it's on them to be able to support their own medical expenses because of their level of education or their level of income. That's one of the aspects of, I guess, socialism that I do agree with. That we should account for, like, we already spend so much in taxes. Why can't a percent of that go to making sure that everybody has healthcare? Like, everybody that below, let's say below a certain level of income, the government should provide you with healthcare. And, like, I'm not like, no, like, I don't believe in the whole everybody should get paid the same, because that's not real. Like, every job has a different skill level, and you should be paid accordingly. This whole universal basic income, like I was talking to you another day. If you get paid a certain wage, let's say there's a federal minimum wage and a federal living wage. So if you get paid the living wage, then you're good. You don't need the assistance. But if you get paid the federal minimum wage and it's below the living wage, then we can account for something to help you in that aspect. Because realistically, at the rate that you're working at $9 an hour, you're gonna be end up in more debt than you are in actually being able to get out of the poverty system, or like out of that level of poverty, because you're just constantly spending that just to live, and you're living below the national living means.
Yeah, but would you?
So,
I mean, I would agree with this. I don't agree with the minimum wage, but I do agree that a better solution could be the living wage, like you're mentioning it, and not force. I think we've talked about this in other podcasts, and not put it on the employer, right, to pay these fees or to pay this cost, but put it to the state. At the end of the day, we have to pay taxes to fucking help people, right? I mean, we cannot get out of that. It's either that or fucking, the Holocaust. And obviously, we need to live with each other. So we need to find a way how to do it. We still gotta pay taxes, so those taxes go somewhere and help people. I just want to make that shit be the most efficient as possible, right? Because that's us, that's our money, right? So I think that you heard the dynamic of the free market when you obligate people to pay certain wages. I think that should be between the worker and the employer, right? However, if there's this kid that has a kid and a wife and they're in a bad situation, and this kid could only get a job that pays them $5 an hour, taking people from the movie ticket area to the seats, right? That doesn't exist anymore, but maybe he has that simple job because he doesn't have many skills. He doesn't have any education. But he could do that, right, and get $5 an hour. All right, why should we force the movie theater to pay him $15? They're not going to hire him. I prefer let them pay him whatever they can agree, right? He's going to learn skills. And the remaining amount that person would need to make for the living wage to be met, which is something that will need to be debated on each state and, with different parameters, etc. But if the government puts that extra amount, the guy's still getting the help he needs, but we're shifting the responsibility from the actual employers. Now, we're still losing money. I wouldn't call it losing because we're helping, right? Because taxpayers are paying it. But I prefer it to be that way instead of the other way, because the other way creates higher prices for your products because Publix has to pay some kid to pick up carts $15 an hour,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and realistically, I wouldn't mind paying a tax if I know that it's directly helping somebody out. However, like, I also see that maybe it shouldn't be the corporation or the company's responsibility to fulfill that, but they should also at least help. Like, the company should help, and we should help. Like, everybody should help. It shouldn't just be the taxpayers. It shouldn't just be the corporations. It should be everybody. Like, it's everybody in the state. Everybody that works in that state has to help.
Yeah.
Not just the corporation and not just the people.
I think also, I mean, what about this idea, right? What if everybody had decent insurance paid for, right? And I mean by everybody, this is a country by country base, obviously. So the U.S., we're the best country in the world. We're advanced. We're doing this and that, whatever.
We got handles, goddammit!
we got handles, because apparently in Spain they don't have any liquor with handles on them.
Shut up, damn.
Yeah. Wait for the episode to come out.
But that tells you how much we drink, though.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's a gluttony thing. It's like a gimme thing.
Exactly.
But I mean, so like, yeah, we like to spend a lot of money. So why don't we do this? Why don't we all work, and then pay a little bit higher taxes, but so that nobody, not even the employers, have to pay for health insurance, right? Or for healthcare. And I mean pay enough so that everybody can go to a doctor, and even the doctors are happy making what they're making, because that's the problem, right? When you start to like do that, then you got like lower
premiums and lower rates and lower paying for the doctor. Yeah.
So let's pay. Let's fucking, as a country, let's pay for universal healthcare, right? And if you, a baller, want to go and pay Mr. McDaddy doctor for whatever procedure, you have the right to do so by paying. By going to a privatized health insurance company. And let me tell you something, a lot of people are going to do that. Like, enough people for that business to still make sense.
No, I mean, obviously, how there's in other systems where they have universal healthcare, that there's like a waiting list depending on the severity of the surgery, of the procedure, whatever it is, if it's life threatening or not. You can wait or you can't wait. I understand that.
Yeah.
If I'm getting universal health care and I don't have to pay for it, and it's I'm paying it out of my taxes per se,
Yeah.
and I understand that there might be a wait for something that's non-lethal. And
Yeah.
I also understand that if this could be a doctor that just came out of school, that he's kind of like practicing on you. You don't know that, but you know that this other doctor is already established at a certain, with certain years of experience and with certain facilities, top of the line, top of the whatever, and you have to pay a little bit extra to do that procedure, or if it's a very complicated procedure like separating conjoined twins or something like that. I understand that you would have that feature available. Not eliminate privatized insurance or people charging for procedures out of network, because that's what it would be. It'd be an out of network procedure.
Right.
So
Exactly. And I mean, so and like this, I also kind of, I mean, these are my more socialist ideas, and I actually heard this the other day, and it kind of resonated with me a little bit. I just think that at the level and at the technology and at the level of civilization that we are now, these basic human things are going to be and are better. I think if we as people can put in money to help, everybody has basic healthcare and basic, like you said, like, when it's life threatening, it's life threatening. But when it's just my toe hurts or I've got a little sniffle, this and that, like, okay, you're gonna have to go to an urgent care,
or
and
I
you
have
might
this
have to
like
wait a little bit.
this weird itch or something. Yeah.
Right. We just changed the dynamic from everybody going into emergency rooms to people going into like more urgent care facilities, and that's why they're popping up
primary care
everywhere.
physician or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly. That's why they're popping up everywhere, right? And that could be a business on its own, like drive through fucking urgent care. You know what I mean? Why not? But then so you have this situation, and then also you have the situation of like, well, if you want people to make more money and us to push the needle even further, then pay for basic education, basic college education. If you want to go to Harvard, you can go to Harvard. You want to go to UM, you can go to UM. You can go wherever, but pay for basic education. Why? Because as long as the more educated you are,
Yeah, but I wouldn't agree. That's where I think. So this is I agree with you, Steven, and what you said is a perfect system that works around the whole thing. Let me elaborate on that. So you talked about like we pay with our taxes, we pay everyone so they can pay insurance, right? But instead of the government providing that insurance, if I understood correctly, we have private people providing medical services, and then the government gives you money a month so that you can go and choose whatever.
So our taxes go to the government. The government pays private healthcare.
No.
Providers.
Well,
taxes go to the government.
Per se.
Government gives back.
Gives
it back to all the people. The people decide with that voucher which doctor to go see.
I didn't even think about it that way, but I mean, whatever works. To be honest with you,
let's say you want to get that surgery with that doctor, and the government says, all right, look, you don't want to get it with your doctor. Here's $1,000 that you from your money that you paid towards whatever that elective surgery or that surgery.
The reason why that works better, if we have to part from the fact that we cannot live in an anarchy where we have a sheriff in town and we're all toting guns. We need to live in a society where we gotta take care of the people that cannot take care of themselves, right? And we need to have certain laws and shit. Okay, so we need to pay taxes. And I'm with you, Steve. Like I'm super free market, but I also understand that we need some social programs. But the reason why I would do it this way is because you still keep the social part of it where you're helping the people, but you don't take out the incentive to have a better service that gives the free market. So what like this happens with schools. Schools in the U.S. are very shitty nowadays, and the reason is wherever you live, if you're broke, you need to go to the school of that county, and that school is probably gonna have less funding and it's gonna be pretty shitty school, right? That school has really no fucking incentive for the teachers to improve, to do anything correct, because they're all hired by the government. They cannot be fired. And this happens all across America. And this is the basic of education for kids, right? So if instead you don't do the schools, as a government, you don't do the schools, you're going to have vouchers that you're going to give each kid or each kid's family. And with that voucher, it's government money that's assigned to that kid. You can decide as a mom where to take this kid. You can take them to the school that's around the corner that might not be as good, but it's going to be super cheap. Or you can put in a little bit more money and take them to the school that's in another district that's better, that has better kids that want to learn and all this shit. So pretty much what you're giving freedom to the people to use the money that is assigned to them. But if you want to put it as something better, you can do it. And you can do that with insurance too. Instead of paying people for Medicare or whatever that the government provides, no, make that be private companies. And then you give them the money and then decide which insurance to go to. Because then the insurers are going to fight each other to keep prices low and service good.
But then the other scenario comes where the person that gets the voucher for the kid doesn't have that extra money to be able to send them anywhere else. They have to go there because they have no other funds to add to that.
But then the one that does have a little bit more can send the kid somewhere else. Like, you're giving choices. Like, if you don't have a choice, okay, that's it. But if you do have a choice,
I could actually see the scenario where a parent will take the money and not send the kid to school.
But what if that voucher is only able to be used for education, or
it's not
only
a check. It's like a thing that you know what I mean? It's
no, I was thinking about that too. I was like, this voucher has to be like
it has to be like specifically used for this.
No, I mean it's gonna be a government document that you take to a school, and only schools can get the money from. I mean, I'm not a politician.
So, like, you would still have.
I'm not a law writer, but it would be something like that.
You would still have to have the low income school that accepts the voucher as is.
Mm-hmm.
Without,
so every school,
all private. I mean, I don't know how the transition would be, but ideally you only have private schools, and even the shitty one accepts your voucher because it's government money. It's just that if you take that voucher and you go to a school that costs double the amount, you're like, hey, dude, I got this voucher. I want my kid to go here. I'll pay for the other half. And if you're a parent that's broke, but you want your kid to succeed, and you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna get a second job so I can pay for my kid to go to a better school. That's how progress is made. And unfortunately, in life, that's how it is. It doesn't come for free. You gotta fucking work for it. So yeah, we can help, but we can also give options. And then those schools are gonna have to be good, because the schools now are competing to get those vouchers. So it's not anymore where the school doesn't give a fuck, because it's like, well, we got all the kids in this region and they gotta come here. They're obligated to. No. Now the kids can decide. Now you better be good so you can get that money. Otherwise, so the
shitty schools are gonna trim the fat more and more, and they're gonna need the school will literally just go under if the vouchers aren't coming in.
But then, how do you determine whether a school is bad or good?
Well, there's
people decide.
we'll make
standardized testing.
Well, we'll make a rating.
There's ways to do it. You can there's statistics.
Glassdoor for school.
Which schools hold more kids? Which schools graduate more kids with higher percentage? And then now, moms are like, no, wait. No, I saw a review that this school is really good. Let's go visit it. Let's go, like colleges. Like when you go to colleges, that's how it should be. I fucking grew up in Venezuela on a private school in Venezuela. The reason why there's private schools over there is for a different reason. It's because, it's a fucking jungle, and you need to go to a private school. And I got an amazing education, because it was private, and all the private schools wanted to be better than the other one and get the reputation that year of being the best school in the. This works when you do it that way, and we can still keep the social part of like, yeah, we're gonna pay for these kids to go to school. College, I wouldn't pay for it. I think at that time, there's kids that might go to technical school, like John, or somebody that's just really good working a forklift. Like that, there's nothing wrong with that job. People need to stop making it look like jobs that involve physical activity and shit. It's like, that's bad. No, those jobs are making a lot more money than motherfuckers that graduated with like a business administration and they're taking phone calls at a fucking Hertz car rental.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. Literally.
That sounds like an attack on somebody specifically.
No, I'm almost describing my experience. I just never graduated even.
But that's a lot of what happens to a lot of people. Like, I'm a graduate, and yep, sure shit, I started working at Enterprise. So it's like, it sucks because we fight so hard for this education. And what I think is these. I mean, this is a separate topic, but I really do think that education is like way overpriced. Like it is. I mean, I don't know what the overhead is, but like, my God, like people are
Steve and John,
millions.
Why do you think it is overpriced?
Because people need money. People are greedy.
Okay. People are greedy, right? So let's take a look at this. The schools are greedy, right? And they want to charge more money, right? But for you to charge more money, you need to have kids that want to go to your school and pay for that, right? But what happens? The government guarantees all these kids. the loans to go to the schools, right? So then what happens? When you're the school, you're like, okay, let's all raise our tuition because they're guaranteeing the loans, even if it costs 50,000 or 100,000 or 150,000 a year, right? So instead of that, again, I wouldn't do this with colleges because I just think at that stage you need to decide what you want to do. And if we didn't have these student loans, all the colleges would drop their prices and trim the fat, and you would be able to go to college like 60 years ago. Parents or grandparents would go to college by having a summer job because it wasn't that expensive, right? Now you have a lot more administrative than teachers. It doesn't make sense. But what I'm trying to say is that even if you were to apply the same concept that I did before, don't give the money to the college. Give the money to the kid, right? And the kid needs to decide where to go. And then he needs to decide, if I go to the better one, I need to put more money. But if I go to this one, I have a little bit left maybe to use for my dorm. Like,
so you're saying that they're guaranteeing only a certain amount of money, and then everything else is on us. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't know the system being perfect, but what I want is the schools, the colleges, to compete, to lower prices, trim the fat, and improve the quality. Because what's happening now is what's happening with the insurance companies and the high schools. Everything is paid, guaranteed by the government, regardless of your output of performance, because they've taken out the capitalist side of it. You need to make these motherfuckers compete, and then still give the money to the individual to decide, but make them compete. Don't give them the money guaranteed. No. They gotta earn it.
Yeah. BJ, what's up?
So I mean, the same thing that you would apply to college and to high school. I let me see. Damn.
I know we threw a long
It's okay.
one
It's
there.
okay. See, you were saying about the loans getting paid to the school and then the school disbursing it to the student, right? But the same would apply to any school. Like any school that you apply to, you would have to apply for FAFSA or that additional financial aid service, and then based off of that, then they pay you out. So like you're still technically like responsible for the loan, whether you go to Miami-Dade or to FIU. So you're still using that money to pay the college or not. Like you're using that as a loan to help you out with other school supplies or whatnot. But you're still, using that money towards that school. You at the end of the day decide where you want to apply to. As far as the college is concerned. With high school, that's dependent on your level of education and your skill, because sometimes you can get into like a magnet school where they let you go and go to somewhere else, even if it's a little bit farther, but because of your intellect or like the gifted
Yeah,
program.
but that's discriminatory. Like as a parent, you should be able to have your average Joe kid, if you want, be raised and taught in a school that's gonna have less kids, more attention to them. And I experienced this because me and Steven, we met in a charter school, but before that I went to a public school, and it's night and day. I mean, it sounds like quite like it's funny because it's a lot cuter. It's a lot nicer. It's just everything's prettier and everything's just
But
better.
didn't you say that everything requires sacrifice or everything requires like hard work? So if you got two kids, one that is average, and you try to quiz them or you teach them, but their level of learning is average, and you have another person that is genuinely bright, like you can see that they have a higher potential learning, they know a lot more concept and they know a lot more information, wouldn't you want to direct that person to a program that is tailored towards what they're showing that they can actually do, as opposed to having that the same average kid? He has the opportunity to do it as well, but I feel that it would be underutilizing that program to put a kid that's average as opposed to
I think you can have both
smart.
things. I think you can have both things happen. So the super smart kid, we're gonna have a magnet program for that kid because this kid is on another level, right? Definitely. People that are bright, we need to fucking get them and put them on special programs so they can keep developing that. Now his brother, that's not as bright, average Joe, right? He's always with pull my finger and farts. That guy, right? Maybe he's not going to that magnet program, but as a parent, this system would allow me to still take them to a better school, not a genius school, but to a
Uh
better
huh.
school than maybe the one where we live because we broke at the moment. I want them to fucking be a little bit, strive to be better. So I pay a little bit more and take them to a better school in the next district, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's still gonna be an average kid, but he's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be taught in a much better environment, and he's probably gonna end up being a lot more productive and smart because this. I mean, one of it is your IQ, but a lot of it is how you are taught. You can
Right.
get a kid that's like average, and if he works hard and does shit, like he could get far. So a lot
Right.
of it is how you teach the person.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
you know these
the say.
schools, some of these schools, bro, it's just like a criminal thing. Like you just go in there and it's just like they're horrible nowadays. A lot of public schools, it's just
The
it's
the
straight up
say.
thuggerish.
The same thing applies
No,
with sports. Like, there's people that have like really excessive talent, and there's other people that are very applied to the sport. And sometimes the people that are applied actually succeed more than the people that have pure talent, just because of the fact that they're constantly, like practicing doing that, as opposed to the guy that has talent. He's like, oh, I could just throw it and it'll go in, type shit.
yeah, exactly. That's definitely true. I mean, to be honest, I'm the type of person that I wish I was more like that, more more like the
More
disciplined
applied.
one. Yeah, I find myself to be creative and to have little talents at things, and I have worked some of those talents, but I feel like it's hard for me to get discipline going, and so some other people, like you said, might not really be good at anything naturally, but they're just very committed and are disciplined. So, and a lot of times that takes you further than even having talent, like you're saying in sports or
Hmm.
anything. I mean, I heard a story of a guy in sports that was really good, but he was like really mouthy and he was very disrespectful to the coaches.
Hmm.
But he was super good, and when he was like being scouted for colleges,
Hmm.
one of the coaches of the really good school came to the other coach that coached him, and he's like, "Hey, what's up with this kid?" He's like, "Look, this guy's talented. He's really good at everything. All-star league, but he just is impossible to deal with." And this kid was never picked by any other coach to go, and he never made a pro because of that. You have all this talent, but you don't. Well, in this case, it would be knowing how to handle situations, not only in
Hmm.
the field, but being smart in life in general, having ethics, having all these things. But
Yeah. To
that's a bit,
to a certain extent,
I
look
digress.
at the case of Antonio Brown. He was a very talented football player, but he has certain behavioral problems that's getting in the way of his career. That's causing him a lot of trouble now. And
I don't know much about that football. What does he like? What does he do? Like party or?
he's a wide receiver, and no, he's just having a lot of social problems. Like, he trashed his hotel because he didn't want to pay for it or something like that, or because he was I don't know the whole story, but I know
Okay,
that
but he's just
he's having some sort
misbehaving.
of legal issue because of the way that he behaves outside of football.
Okay, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can definitely fuck you up. I mean, like OJ, what he did outside the field kind of fucked up his career.
Well, I mean, then you also have like people who believe that you can create your own community, and you can teach your own kids, and you can and raise them up that way. I mean, there's the financial aspect, which this is crazy. This is like off, but I'm just saying, like, what about the people who say, okay, well, you know what, I don't have the money, but I do have the means of and the community behind me to say, well, okay, like, we've got a teacher and we've got a doctor and we've got this and we've got that, like, and maybe through these programs that we're talking about, we can actually survive, but we have to maintain our own community, right? I mean, look, like we just talked about earlier in Portland, where they're doing whatever the fuck they're doing, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
That they think that they could just isolate themselves.
Hmm.
How do you feel about communities on their own? I don't know, just creating like a commune type
I,
of situation.
I've been a big proponent of that aspect. I recently saw this.
Well, yeah, because you're doomsday guy, so you're actually looking for other wackos out there.
I recently saw a Netflix special, the one with Zac Efron, where he goes to Costa Rica.
Down to Earth or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
down to
Down-
Earth. I
Oh,
only saw.
I've been wondering.
I've only seen two episodes. The one about Sardinia in Italy,
Dude, so,
and the
sorry,
one
I just want to
of,
do a
Costa
parenthesis.
Rica.
Everybody like, oh, he has a dad bod. What the fuck? He looks amazing. We have dad bods. We have fucking bellies. Oh, like, oh, he's not fit anymore. He has a dad bod. What the fuck are you talking about? This kid looks fucking grizzly. So, anyways, yeah, you were watching it in Costa Rica.
I'll let you vent to me later. Zac Efron.
He's fucking beautiful.
He
He's
is.
beautiful.
Oh man, I saw this funny ass TikTok where they're like Zac Efron, stop it, man. Like, stop it. We can't compete. We had beards. Now you have a beard. Now you do it better than us.
Imagine.
It's like,
You let your hair grow. It looks fucking amazing. Oh my god. You're fat and you still look good. Like
BJ, go on. Enough about
So
us.
no, it's
sometimes these little gay moments. We apologize.
we're all a little bit of that. So we
Butthurt.
go into the this whole Costa Rica episode where he goes to Costa Rica and he visits a commune, and he explores how there's a teacher, there's a doctor, there's a holistic medicine person, there's a person that farms the jackfruit, there's a person that farms the certain other fruit, there's a person that has a fish colony. Like they've gone beyond the means of actually using currency. They've actually just supported themselves. They've actually supported themselves through themselves each providing a service to the commune. So it's like essentially like, do we really need money? But like money, what do we use money for? We use money as a means to acquiring services or goods that we need. If all of our services and goods are met, do we really need money? So like one thing I wanted to touch upon, I kind of like talking about psychology to a certain extent. This thing called Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right?
Okay.
And there's different levels depending on where you're at in your life. It starts off very basic, like a physiological needs that are like air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, and the ability to reproduce. Then you have safety needs: personal security, employment, resources, health, and property. Then it's like a pyramid, and it goes up and up. Obviously, the further up it goes, the more abstract the needs are, like love and belonging, self-esteem, or the self-actualization, like finding something that desires for you to become the best you that you are, depending on what it is that you want it to be. So I feel like in a commune, the whole purpose of it is to be able to meet these intrinsic needs that each person has, and if all those needs are met, then there's no need to, I guess, venture outside of that commune or of that community or of that scenario.
Yeah, I mean, if you also think about it, if like I was watching, what was it, Waco? Waco was. Did you guys
Texas,
watch that? Yeah, so I mean, like that's a religious, I guess, commune where they kind of like work together. I mean, it's definitely culty for sure, but I mean, I don't understand how a commune.
I mean, they all
it wouldn't be, right?
Yeah. I mean, if it's a commune, there's gonna be a personality to it, and that on itself is gonna be a culty dynamic.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you also even within the commune, or at least in Waco, I just think there's certain things, especially just because unless we all change, you still have to interact with the outside world and what you would need, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean,
you can't grow everything.
Yeah,
you
can't grow everything. Like, there's
gasoline
gonna be certain
for your vehicles and stuff,
Yeah, but that'd be cheating. I mean, if I do it, I'll do it for real ski.
Yeah,
like self-sufficient. I'm gonna be in the middle of fucking jungle.
So horse and cart type of thing, because like, what are you using to transport?
Can you buy solar panels?
Like, dog.
Like you guys, you guys come together.
So like a Tesla commune.
Yeah.
All right. So this is not like Call of Duty.
I'm not gonna
like you come together as a community, and you're
Call
like
of Duty, Modern Ops. Like
you come.
We're gonna commune, but with the technology of today.
Okay, so you come together as a community. You're like, look, we need certain services that we can't produce here. We can't produce steel, or we can't produce like electronics. So we come together. We say like, all right, we're gonna produce this amount, and we're gonna get 10% of what we produce and sell it to the outside world. And then whatever we make from that sale, we use to invest in
Things that we need.
electronics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So it's like a
Yeah,
company.
you gotta have like a billionaire commune, like or a millionaire in your commune. Like, yeah, don't worry about it, guys. And super socialist. Yeah, I got you. Don't worry.
make sure you bring Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Bro, you just described like the perfect like capitalist. It's like no, but this is like a very social commune, right? And then we all work together, right? And then we create this thing, right? And then we sell it out there, and we put it in this thing called the stock markets, and then we get the money back, and then we divide it up 12, and then we live in this social system. Like,
Okay, so we
sure
take
that's
but
capitalism.
with a community aspect to
we
it.
take the
right?
money that we just got, and we go to the Mikasuki, and we just bet
We
on
put it
black.
all on black. Double or nothing, baby. Let's go.
Let's do this. Daddy
And
needs
that's how Johnny never returned to the commune.
Oh man.
That day, the commune realized people are
They
pieces of
fucked up.
shit.
No, that's another thing that you have to understand, that like as much as the idea of a community is nice, if everybody's not on the same page, then it won't work. Because it's honestly that's why I feel that socialism and Marxism, like when I was young, I used to believe in that a lot, because on paper it seemed like a very nice idea. Everybody's well off, everybody's taken care of. But then you come to realize as time goes by that this requires the production of money.
Well, I think you're being cut. Like, wait for a minute. You stuck. You either trolling us and you stop really quick.
He's
on
just
the
like
screen,
frozen there.
and-
I think his computer might upload the audio clean, but we're just
No,
seeing
we don't hear
him
But at
frozen,
the moment,
frozen in
we,
time.
we have our team that's in the background, contacting his team, and we're finding out exactly what the situation is. But yeah, I think what he was sort of going towards is that on the commune,
He was definitely agreeing with us. He was definitely agreeing with us.
yeah, he was definitely liking and supporting 100% everything that we say.
Everything. I mean, without even question.
Without even questioning. He pretty much said that the commune wouldn't work, and that he was Marxist and socialist in the past, but that he realized that the only way for society to flourish is for there to be a free market with a very small government and a voucher system.
I think that's exactly what he was trying to say.
And a voucher system for insurance, schools, and so. But yeah, thank you for joining us today, Big John, and we'll let the audience know what you think.
Okay, you didn't even say bye, but thanks.
Cause all right, but that's what he was saying, guys. Pretty much, that's what he's about. He's now a very alt-right Republican, and he loves handles. God damn it,
He loves good to handle. Oh man, this was a fun
cares.
episode. Thank you, man. I actually enjoyed having John on here. He's a straight shooter.
Well, but I think he's almost he might be back, bro.
He might be back.
Yeah, man. I don't know why you.
Well, he left without saying bye. I mean, what the fuck? Why would I have? No, he's
Let's see. No, because he's gonna come back to reconfirm what we said that he said. And
that he's a alt-right Trump Nation guy.
yeah, but Steven, real quick, on a commune, like, do you think it could work like 50 people, like 25 couples?
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, there you go. I think Comcast thought I was being too real, so I
Yeah,
cut
Hey,
it
bro,
off.
yeah.
did you get a text message from the Chinese government?
It was my TikTok app.
There it is. They're listening.
All right.
It
Hey,
cut
so
me off.
finish your idea. We finished it for you, but we want to.
I forgot where we.
You were
where did we
saying
end?
That you were gonna
Used to
vote
be-
Trump. You're a full Trump Nation guy.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I said.
No,
That's exactly
you
what I
were-
said.
You were saying that capitalism is the only way to like real liberty.
Right. Those are the
No,
very
but you
words that
were
were
you
coming out
were
of my
saying
mouth.
that in the past you used to believe a lot in the Marxists and then the socialist.
And on paper, it didn't look good.
Script
Yeah.
on paper, it was pretty.
It looked good on paper, but then you also have to factor in the people have are inherently, they have a free will. They choose whatever they want, and some people honestly all they care about is money. And they put money over like happiness or their
Money
family
over
or
bitches.
the people around
Right.
them or the bitches. Money over bitches, exactly. Well, the bitches, I can't even use bitches because that's like
No,
offensive
but I
to
said it
some
in a
people
song.
because
It's not. It wasn't like that.
in a sing-songy way.
You're just saying it now in the wrong part, and that's gonna probably cause issues with our sponsors. But
I just got canceled. Thanks guys.
Oh, boy.
But yeah. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that this whole money thing really, even though it's necessary to be able to function in the society that we live in, I don't think it's necessary for a person to be intrinsically happy.
to have money,
Well, yeah, to have money.
okay.
And then that also goes into one of the episodes that you guys have about talking about money and how you guys were talking about how that gosh darn it.
We don't know our own episode
The-
topics either. We just kind of put up.
Yeah.
Maybe Kiko.
it was
He's
the one
more
with the
involved
other
with the editing.
It was with another guest.
Basically, the question initially was, and you guys never really got to an answer during that episode.
Classic
Was
Broskiedoodles.
does somebody need to get fucked over?
Oh,
Oh yeah.
And lose money
That's
dynamics of wealth.
for another person to gain
Dynamics
money?
of
Yeah,
wealth
that was with
episode.
Camilo or Johnny Boy.
Johnny Boy, yeah. Yeah, you okay, so what do you think? Because our argument was that for me to make money, right? Like if I find the cure for cancer and I sell the pill for $10, I'm gonna become a trillionaire. But you know, the society is being rewarded
Helps
a lot
more.
more, right? So what I was saying is that transactions in the free market happen because people see gain in, like, okay, look, I have this 10 peas that I harvested. Can I give this to you and you give me those potatoes? And for me, this trade is gonna be better for me. Like I'm winning because I'm getting the potatoes that I didn't have, and I already have beads in my home. And that guy is also benefiting because he's like, fuck, I don't. So the whole magic of the whole trade is that you do it because it benefits both parties. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. So richness comes from many of these transactions, voluntary transactions where both people are being better off after the transaction is over. That creates wealth. And I do not think that when you take money from somebody, it's like, oh, they're poor because you're rich. Of course, they're giving you money, so there's a transaction right away, but you're providing them a service that they voluntarily paid for because it makes their life better and easier.
But then the next thing is like, okay, so you have these 10 P's that you're trading. What does it take for you to produce those 10 P's? It takes time, it takes fertilizer, it takes land, it takes resources, and I feel like the human currency that we have is time. You give up your time for money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you're giving up years of your life for money, and then once you get that money, okay, oh, it's money. So I'm just giving you this money because I want this service or I want this thing, but you end up living less because you're trading it in for money to then be used for a service or a good or whatever that you need. Obviously, you're doing it willingly. You're trading willingly your money, your time for money because you need these services or you need these goods. But am I getting fucked in the end? I'm losing time and days for what I'm essentially of my life to acquire these things. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have those 10 P's, and I'm gonna use them in an hour or in a day.
All right, but look,
But how long did I have to work in a week
I just built
to get those 10
I
P's?
just built a computer,
And-
and I paid Intel and many technology capitalist companies some money, right? And that allows me to produce good quality content and improves my life, my quality of life, and it allows me to be
Right.
connected in the way that we're connected now. So,
So-
at the end,
How much is an Intel processor?
whatever it is, I
No,
bought
no,
it,
like let's just
and an Intel
right,
processor can cost from $200 to $1,000.
right. So let's go with 200. So then you're paying 200 for this Intel processor. How much are they paying to
Well,
produce
I
it?
don't give a fuck. If there was a better processor for a cheaper price, I would buy that one. But that's the one. That's the
Right.
best one in the
But
market. So I buy that. I buy that one.
but then some like then you have to go into that like okay, so there's a $20 processor. That's the best in the line. Somebody has to make that processor.
Hmm.
That person that's making that processor is getting paid 5 or 10 cents an hour.
Okay, well, but that you're going into other things. I mean, if so, what?
Like
We stop. We stop. I mean, that's not in the U.S. That's in third world countries.
I'm not saying to stop. I'm not saying to stop. No, no. The person willingly chose to get paid 5 or 10 cents an hour to produce this because this is the only job they got. But understand that that company is now fucking this guy over because that person's not getting a fair trade. That person's getting paid 5 cents or 10 cents an
But
hour
you see,
to produce
the problem is that you're
Uh-huh.
using like an example where there's like shadiness going on, and obviously you can find those in any free
No,
market.
it doesn't necessarily have to be shady. It could be
No,
like, let's say,
but,
okay,
but,
let's
but
say the
let's do
person.
it in an example where, like in the U.S., right? You have a business where you employ 5 people, and those 5 people print designs that you sell, and it's a profitable business, right? And you're in the U.S. The people that are buying your signs are fucking super happy because you actually give them a really good price for a really good quality sign because you have the skills and the knowledge to do this and the machines that you got in Italy at a little town that only a motherfucker had it, and you're making these really nice signs, right? Your workers, you can afford to pay them a little bit over the average of that type of job because you actually have a good product that has a good margin, right? Everybody's winning there. The customers are winning, your employers are winning, you're winning, the country is winning because you're paying taxes that are helping everybody else that cannot, pay for the stuff. So why I don't see anywhere there where somebody being
if
fucked
that
over.
if that were the case where they are actually getting paid a just amount for their work and they're accepting it and they feel like, oh, okay, they feel like, oh, I'm making enough for what I'm doing. The person that's paying for the product, oh, this is not overpriced, this is a reasonable price for the product, and the company's making a decent margin. I don't see a problem with that. I don't see a problem with that. But you know that the case isn't very always that. They try and then they also try to reduce costs somewhere to be able to maximize profit without having to pay as much per
Yeah,
se.
but this also ends up hurting you, like
Hurting who?
hurting you,
The
no, the
consumer?
company. Like if you cheap it out, right? If you're Costco and you don't have the same amount of workers out there helping people, you don't have the same quality of food because you're costing down. You don't have, you put the prices too high. And then the people at Costco that go there to have a certain experience are gonna be like, "Hey, yo, fuck this! I'm gonna go to Albert, Sam's or whatever because they treat."
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, I mean, the beautiful thing about the free market is that if somebody wants to be inefficient and provide shitty service, the market will let you know. You know what I mean? The problem is that when the government controls it, they could like go to the DMV. When you go to the DMV in the U.S., do you think any of those workers, when they treat you, have any fear of being reprimanded by the service that they're giving? No, because they're locked in on a contract that they can never fire them. So what ends up happening is they never have to feel responsible to provide a good service. And yeah, you could go and say they don't get paid as much or whatever, but the problem is when in a system where you don't have the incentives right, you end up not becoming better, and that happens with the companies too.
So I guess the important thing to take away from that is that the company and the people have to be incentivized for it to actually flourish. Otherwise, it becomes a shitty system like the DMV, or people don't pay for it because it's overpriced, or the people don't work for it because they're getting underpaid.
Correct. And I think we're gonna have to yeah.
I just have to say I really much appreciated the conversation we had today. I do have to kind of split on a special kind of occasion situation, but
no, but
yeah,
but
but
it's
you
good
guys
though.
are
We're
awesome.
done. I was just gonna wrap up,
Yeah,
and I was gonna tell DJ BJ that we actually probably are gonna have him again on another episode to go a bit
Definitely.
deeper into the incentives part, because that's the thing where the solutions are, the incentives that we can use.
I totally
So
agree.
thank you so much for chilling with us, bro.
Hey, thanks a lot. I really look forward to seeing more of your podcast, and I still need to have an episode of where I call you guys out on
Oh,
previous
that's
episodes.
true. That's true.
I know.
That's true.
This
So,
wasn't. You didn't go hard enough today on
I-
us.
so
No, I didn't.
On the
I
next
didn't. But
episode-
I have to go back and like write down notes and stuff. I forgot.
No, man, it's all
on
good,
the next
don't worry.
episode,
But
we'll
definitely.
touch up on all those. And yeah, man, this has been grand. So, well, guys,
Hey, I like it. I
much
like
love.
it. I'm looking forward to
Take
it.
care, guys.
See you guys around.
Love you all.
Peace.
Take care. Peace.